Welcome back to the Villain Report, where kneecaps got bitten, narratives get shredded, and Detroit 313 Sports. Well, the 313 Sports are going to get the spotlight that they finally deserve. I'm your host, Russell Wayne, the voice of vengeance. The mouth of the Motor City Madness. And your unapologetic villain of the 313. We got fire to spit and facts to check from the Lions' final preseason game, roster battles, and more importantly, your questions. No stone gets left unturned. Well, damn it. We got about a week and a half until we start the season. I'm sorry, I'm starting out so awful right here. There, that's what I was looking for. This episode of the Villain Report is brought to you by Fanatics.com. And while you're here, gear up like a true villain with your official affiliate partner with Fanatics. Whether you're repping the offense, a Hutchinson jersey, or a throwback Barry Sanders jersey, hit that link in the description to shop official Detroit merch and support the Villain Report in the process. It's faith, family, and then football in that order. We don't let football use us. We use football to spend time with our family. We don't let football use us. And here we are. There's only one more preseason game. We're almost done. We're almost done with all of this madness. No more battling for the backup positions. If you're new to the channel and this is the first time you've seen us, hit that subscribe button right there. Be part of our Facebook page. Our Facebook page with close to 75,000. We're going to cross 75,000 people. Thank you so much for that. And if you want to get that Lions pullover hoodie, hit that link. Get that swag right there. And if you haven't been to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we talk Lions. We talk. Chad's up in the house. What's up, Chad? Good morning, Davey. Final preseason game coming up. Playing the Houston Texans at 1 o'clock today. In a very meaningful, meaningless game. And why do I say that? Why do I say meaningful and meaningless? It's because the starters aren't playing. The backups are most likely not playing. The backup, the third string are probably not playing. And there's 90 guys on this roster. And I would say somewhere between 45, maybe 40, up to 48 roster spots are probably claimed already. Not because they don't need to work for it anymore, but some of these spots have already been earned. And so 45, let's just put the number at 45, just for argument's sake. And there's a 90-man roster. So that means there's 45 other guys. And there's only 53 roster spots. So 45 guys in this preseason game are going to be battling it out for roughly 7 or 8 roster spots. Okay? So that's a bloodbath in there. Now, is it meaningful to, our record or anything that means anything like that to where it's going to affect our season? No. It doesn't mean anything at all. Preseason games are meaningless. That's why it sucks when guys get injured during preseason games. But it is very meaningful to the guys that are on the practice squad or trying to fight for a roster spot, because that is a very, very significant difference in money. You get practice checks, but if you can double your pay just by getting onto the 53-man roster, these guys are battling it out, man. And this isn't position versus position, right? This is not position versus position. This is how much versatility do you have on the back end of the roster, right? Because we went through all of the position last week, all of the positions, and kind of went through all the claimed roster spots that were on there already. Where is the battle line at, right? You say quarterback, right? Quarterback, I think that most people would agree that Kyle Allen has won the backup quarterback, right? And there's no question that Jared Goff,
it's my quarterback,
is the starting quarterback. So that's not a question that needs to be answered, right? But are we going to keep a third quarterback? That's the question. Is this Hendon Hooker's final game as a Lion? That's a good question for you, right? Is this Hendon Hooker's final game as a Lion? I mean, is he unquestionably out? That's the real question. Are you going to carry 3 quarterbacks? I mean, Dan Campbell at the press conference was talking about the depth, and it's a real thing, right? We want to be able to keep as many of these guys that can give you things on game day that can actually help you out. When you get 3 defensive linemen that get injured in the same game, having a third quarterback doesn't really help you out all that much. I don't like giving up on players. I don't like saying I'm wrong, because I thought for sure that Hendon Hooker was going to come in here and slay preseason, throw up some record numbers, and he just didn't show up. It doesn't mean that he's awful. It doesn't mean that he couldn't go somewhere else and maybe somebody else will find something different out of him, but he has no chance or no path to a roster spot here. So I think that he's going to get cut, or he'll get traded for, a compensatory, not a compensatory, but just a late round pick swap or something like that. I mean, that is a bust of a pick at this point in time. And I don't like saying that. The Villain don't like giving up on players. But when you got 2 years in a row where you got guys coming in off the street. I mean, Jake Fromm, who, yeah, funny story is he's an insurance salesman now, and it's not for State Farm. Jake Fromm is working for an insurance agency right now, but he came in last year on like 3 days' notice and played better than Hendon Hooker in a game. And you can't, he may be able to put it together somewhere else, but it ain't going to happen here. Chad, I like that point right there. I liked the pick of Hooker when they took him. And you're not going to hit on every single pick. Like, if you want to use this as a piece to criticize Brad Holmes, that's up to you. But that's a funny criticism in a draft where you pick 3 all-pro players and the other one is Jack Campbell. When you talk about the 4 players taken before Hendon Hooker. And then the Broderick Martin thing. We always like to emphasize, like, and over-scrutinize every single bad move or questionable move by Brad Holmes. And it's like, and we have talked enough about the greatness of the moves, but this guy's finding all-pro players in every draft. And the 2024 draft may be put on display this year. So, but when it comes to Hendon Hooker, is he going to be on the roster? Is it worth it to cut a guy like Nate Lynn, who's played his ass off as a defensive end at a position that you could actually use on Sundays? If a player goes down, you need depth at that position. We proved it last year. And a lot of the depth guys that you're going to see playing today were actually put into starting roles last year, being pulled off of the practice squad. About finding the best 69 guys. When we hit the 53, how many of those guys can make it through that we can put them on the practice squad? Because we got a lot of good players, even past the 53. Thank you for the question, Ken. Can a team cut a player and designate him as a protected before signing him to the practice squad, or must they pass through waivers first? That's a great question. And the answer is that for the original, you have to put them through waivers first. You have to put them. You cannot protect them until they clear the waiver. And then once they get on to the practice squad, then you can protect them for game day. So, no, they have to clear waivers first. Now, once you establish your 53-man roster, well, then you can demote people and then protect them. So that could be a thing they could do, Ken, with Hooker. Would be they may keep him on the original 53-man roster and then drop him down after that. And then they would open up a roster spot for somebody like maybe Zadarius Smith. Anybody feeling that? Anybody feeling some Zadarius Smith? I mean, are they going to bring him back? Are you going to bring back Big Z? I mean, I think it's all going according to plan as far as I'm concerned. Because there's no reason to just go and sign Zadarius Smith right now. Right? Because you got to go through this roster gymnastics. So if Zadarius Smith is going to be a guy that's going to be on this team, he'll get signed on Monday or Tuesday, of next week after they do and set their practice squad. And I'd love to be able to say that I called that, Ken. Right when Zadarius Smith got cut from the team, and it was being scrutinized that it was a dumb move. And I'm just like, he probably doesn't want to play in training camp. They weren't keeping that contract, that awful contract that Cleveland gave him, which left a lot of dead money on the table for next year. That's the reason why they dropped that contract. I don't think they dropped the player. They dropped the contract. Now, Big Z, he can sign with any team that he wants here in a little bit. Missed the entire training camp, which, as a veteran, nobody wants to be out there in the dog days of July and August battling with 22-year-olds. Big Z knows how to play. He knows what we need from him. And if he signs here, he's not going to be the starting starter. It's just going to add quality and depth. You get him out there on third downs, let him be a pass rushing specialist. Let Marcus Davenport play those rundowns for the most part. Keep your best guys out there. And you won't be paying him as much, but he won't have as big of a role, but he has a chance to be on a Super Bowl roster. So as far as Big Z goes, Big Z, I'd love to see them sign him. But they got these other guys that are battling. Nate Lynn, Isaac Ukuwu, Keith Cooper Jr. How about Keith Cooper Jr.? What a big surprise from Lions training camp. I mean, he won his way on the roster by winning a spot during rookie minicamp tryouts. Rookie minicamp tryouts. There he is. Since then, he's been playing all over the Lions defensive line, even gotten a number of reps with the first team defense. However, Mekhi Wingo just came back from the PUP list, and that might put his roster spot, Keith Cooper, in a little bit of a haze. Now, we did just lose Josh Pascal. Not just lost, but it doesn't look like he's going to be ready for the beginning of the season, according to Dan Campbell. So that could possibly open up a spot in there for one of those guys, Nate Lynn, Isaac Ukuwu, or Keith Cooper, to make the 53-man roster. Now, if you know that you got Zadarius Smith in the bag and you don't have to use a roster spot on him yet, and you can do your roster gymnastics, yeah, one of these guys might make the team. And then you're hoping which ones could make it through to be on the practice squad. So that's the questions that are happening right now in the minds of Brad Holmes and Mark says you're feeling lonely being over there on Facebook. Nobody on Facebook? It's been a while since I've been live. So I don't know. Am I live right now on Facebook? I don't know. Maybe not. Let me see. Edit the channels. Okay, it says that I am streaming. Okay. I'm live on the YouTube channel. I made a nice little graphic for that today. There you go. You can connect with us, the 313 Villain Squad. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. You can even get me on X at the 313 Villain Squad or just 313 Villain. And if you're a fan of Detroit sports, that's what we do. I love finding me some good highlights to put up. It's a lot of fun. I love running a sports page. But nice to see you in there, Mark.
You like that?
What's up, Ian?
You like that? Say hello to my little friend.
Ken says, do we still have a foreign player exempt from the 53-man squad? I'm not sure about that. That's a good question, too. Ken's got good questions. I need smart people on my shows. I mean, I guess I could go Google that. I don't know. They had that one giant guy that they were working with. I don't know if Giovanni Manu qualifies in that. He might. But Sebastian's asking right here, this is a great question. You think that we should be worried about the state of our O-line? In my opinion, I don't think so. I think that we have one of the best offensive line coaches in Hank Fraley in the National Football League. And any time that we've had injuries before, the next man up has usually stepped in and played well in that spot. When it comes with like the Kevin Zeitler thing, it's like, is it any wonder that anybody that plays next to, I mean, think about this. On average, any player that has played next to Penei Sewell has graded out over an 80 on PFF. Now that can be that Kevin Zeitler's a good offensive lineman. I'm not taking anything away from Kevin Zeitler. But when Mahogany came in there right next to Penei Sewell, he also graded in both of the games that he played over 80. And Tate Ratledge being right next to Sewell is probably going to fit right in there. I'm not worried about that drop off at all. I mean, you got a younger player, probably more athletic. I mean, Tate Ratledge is definitely more athletic than Kevin Zeitler or even Mahogany at that point. And then Mahogany, he played well last year, and he's going to get that shot on the other side. And he's going to be playing next to Taylor Decker. So the question comes is, could Graham Glasgow handle all the calls and the checks and everything? And he's not going to be Frank Ragnow. But you just have to learn how to play with each other. Now, we didn't have a good interior. I'm sorry I'm taking so long here answering your question, Sebastian. But last year, we had great play out of Frank. But if you look at all three positions together, Glasgow didn't have a great year at left guard. And I think a lot of that has to do with Taylor Decker isn't as good as Penei Sewell, but he's still good. So it's going to be harder to play left guard than it is right guard. But there'll be a slight downgrade, maybe even a bigger downgrade at center. But I think that you can upgrade both the other positions with Mahogany and Ratledge to make the offensive line as a whole could actually be better. But I think they should be able to maintain status quo while they're trying to figure it out and have those guys reach their ceiling. So I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
You like that?
Question. And Ken out there catching me on YouTube, already subscribed and follow. Hit that like button too. I always like that. You know, that helps the algorithm or whatever that means. The algorithm helps us be seen by more people. And all we do on here, I'm the 313 Villain. My name is Russell Wayne for everybody that just popped in. And I appreciate everybody that would like and subscribe and do all that stuff right there. You find me on the other stuff like the X and the TikTok, just getting those started. And this episode brought to you, as always, by Fanatics.com. You can get that Detroit Lions swag, and this is the real shit. They got a lot of fake stuff out there with people who, do their own stitching or whatever, and they can kind of get it close. But this is all official gear. I'm sorry that the NFL charges so much for their stuff, but I appreciate that. Ian, will Aleem be ready to start against Green Bay? I don't think so. Aleem is not going to be ready until what they were saying is Thanksgiving. He's saying that he's ahead of schedule. So ahead of schedule, maybe you could get back a month earlier. So maybe you could get him back in October if he's doing really good with the rehab. But I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched right there. That's an ACL injury, and we're not even at a year yet with it. And you can recover from those faster than you used to be able to, but still, I would rather him be back at full strength than to try to force him back to the beginning of the year. Broski with a question in here. Thanks, Ken. Share, then copy the link to, or better yet, send it to a friend. Hey, we love talking football on here. Broski with a good comment right here. Is it a lock that the Lions are keeping Gibbs, Montgomery, Reynolds, and Vaki at running back? I think it is. I think it's a lock. And I'll tell you why. I mean, obviously, you're not going to get rid of Gibbs or Montgomery right there. Craig Reynolds is just one of those guys, Broski, that Dan Campbell in the locker room really, really like. He's a really good running back. You know, if Montgomery goes down or Gibbs goes down, Montgomery's been Reynolds has been serviceable in that area. They really like Reynolds. And Vaki is such a demon on special teams. He has more value on special teams than anything else as far as right now. And he provides some depth at running back too. And we have a couple other running backs that were playing really, really well that I just don't think we're going to be able to roster. If any of them are in trouble for a younger guy, I think it would be Reynolds. You know, if they keep one of the younger ones but I don't think they're going to do that. I think that's just a lock. It is what it is, you know. There's just not a lot of spots on this roster. Yep. Sebastian says that.
You like that?
Yeah, love it. Love it. Thank you for the questions. Broski Bear, St. Brown, Williams, Patrick, Raymond, Tesla seem like to be the wide receivers to make the team. Any chance they carry 6 wide receivers? They might carry 7 wide receivers. There's 2 other receivers. Jackson Meeks and then Dominic Lovett, the guy they drafted in the 7th round out of Georgia. And they're all good. So, you want to be able to have control of these players. Maybe they might be able. These guys are good enough that you don't just want to waive them. That's a very good question for the back end of the roster. Because, I mean, is Tim Patrick 100% safe? It seems like the Lions really like their players that are kind of like the juiced in guys that have been there for a while. You know, the guys that know it, the crafty veteran. And that's what Tim Patrick is. You're not going to get rid of Raymond. He's too valuable to the team. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have. And who are those bubble players? Because it's the weird thing. Like, if you're going to try to keep 6 wide receivers, who do you keep? Jackson Meeks seems like he's the better wide receiver out of him and Lovett, right? But he doesn't offer as much on the special teams. Dominic Lovett can play gunner. He could play gunner. He might even start at one of the gunners. And I mean, it's a tough call. Like I said, that's a good problem to have. And that's one of those battles. You're going to look at it today, guys. You got 45 players that are going to be vying for roughly, 7 or 8 spots. It's crazy. It's a bloodbath out there. And it isn't necessarily wide receiver versus wide receiver or pass rusher versus pass rusher. It's can you do other things on the team? Can you offer up time on special teams? Can you back up more than one position? Can you play inside and outside as a wide receiver and play on special teams? When you're looking at Nate Lynn and Cooper, can you play special teams? Like Cooper, he can play inside defensive tackle or he can rush the passer. Nate Lynn seems more like a pass rushing specialist. So does that factor in? So do you keep a versatile defensive lineman versus a wide receiver that can also play special teams? Well, they're tough to say. I'm glad I don't have to make any of these decisions. That's one of the reasons why I have a hard time, openly criticizing teams or really any of the teams anymore, because those guys have such hard decisions. How do you know what is the right decision? Do you stay young? Do you keep the veteran? See, I like what you're doing here, broski. And this was kind of the theme of the last video that I made. Because when you say Reed, Arnold, Robinson are the locks, who are the other 3 cornerbacks that make the roster? It's like, this is where the battles are. And I don't think it's 3 cornerbacks. I think that you got Rock Ya-Sin has earned himself a spot. I think he's got it. There's 4. And then Khalil Dorsey just came back. He had earned his spot. Getting him back is awesome. He offers a lot of value on special teams. He'll get one of those spots. And then you got battles. That's where in lies. You got that last one. You got defensive back Eric Hallett. He's got value. He's got versatility. He can play outside cornerback. He plays safety. He plays nickelback. And we value the versatility. So Eric Hallett might get that last spot. Or safety Lauren Strickland, safety Ian Kinley. Very interesting position that the Lions are in when it comes to safety. But what it really seems like to me, where you got like Anthony Maddox, you got Eric Hallett, Nick Whiteside, all of these guys are versatile players. So it's going to be a tough decision, because you're talking about, here we are. We have a black, just a bloodbath at the last corner position. I mean, do they keep 7 corners, broski? Mark Orlando says 68, not 70. Reporting is eligible. So Rock Ya-Sin is a cornerback first, and they have been playing him at safety. And they've been doing that with Anthony Maddox too. I just think that is part of the conditioning, what it is to play as a Detroit Lions cornerback. Because the idea is, I don't want you to know either Is Rocky Ya-Sin playing cornerback or safety? Well, we definitely want the offense to not know that either. And I think that's the point. Especially when you got like take a guy like Brian Branch. So Brian Branch is the safety, right? But that doesn't mean that he's not going to take snaps at slot corner, or he will probably take snaps at linebacker, playing up on the line of scrimmage. Not every defensive coordinator is going to play it like that. A lot of defensive coordinators are kind of like, you are the outside linebacker. We need somebody to play the outside linebacker position. I think that Kelvin Shepard, and he learned from Aaron Glenn, they like to play this multiple type of defense. I mean, do we play 3-4 or a 4-3? Well, it depends. What you want to be able to do is show a 4-3 and then all of a sudden be a 3-4 unexpectedly. I mean, that's the NFL. That's the beauty, the artwork of being like a coordinator, is how you can orchestrate, and the players being able to play the role. The players got to play the role. What's up, Detroit fan man's in the house? Thank you, Mark.
You like that?
I appreciate the compliments. It's been a while since I've been live on here by myself. And speaking of which, we're going to pause for station identification. You are watching the Lion Villain Report. You can connect with us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, connect with us. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Ask a question. Connect with the content that's on there. I put content up every day. I'm blue collar. I'm blue collar. I'm the UDFA of sports podcasting. I'm just out here grinding. I'm just a fan. Just like a lot of my friends, like Johnny Gaz. He's out there grinding in his own dungeon, in his own lair. Check out Johnny, too. Johnny Gaz. I'm with him on Tuesday nights at 9:30 in the PM, reviewing the week every week. And he's going to be joining me on this program, too. I like Saturday morning, at least. I haven't decided what I'm going to do during the week yet on a regular basis. But I like my Saturday mornings. Instead of cartoons, we get sports talk. Let's do it. We're almost there, baby. Training camp's almost over. It's faith, family, then football. In that order. I got my priorities straight. My Lord is first, and then my family. And then we have some fun. We like to use football. We don't let football use us. Get out there. Get after it. That's right. Do you want to bring back Big Z? I think Big Z is going to get signed on Monday. I've thought this for the last 2.5 months. The week after the last preseason game, they're going to sign Big Z. I believe that as far as the Big Z thing is concerned, I believe that Big Z will get signed the minute that the practice squad is established. They've done all the roster gymnastics that they're going to do. They'll open up a spot, and then they'll bring back Big Z on whatever day that is, Monday or Tuesday of next week. That's my call. That's the villain call. I'll admit it if I'm wrong. I can do that. I'm good like that. I will make sure that I do that. Like, I do believe that I was wrong about Hendon Hooker. Is this Hendon Hooker's final game as a Lion? Has he overstayed his welcome with a third-round pick, not developed fast enough? Can they not sacrifice this roster spot for a QB3? And that's my opinion of it. I mean, I have nothing against Hendon Hooker. I like developing players, but when you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you need players that are going to be on the roster that can help you at a moment's notice. And when the fifth linebacker goes down in a game and you're scrambling to find people to play, having a third quarterback on your roster doesn't help you in that moment. I mean, the worst case scenario, you can have a player that knows how to play out of position, but you're not going to send in Hendon Hooker as your pass rusher. But you think that's going to be a big dent to Brad's ego? So that's only if you're a pessimist, broski, and I'm not a pessimist. You may be a pessimist. That's okay. You do you. But it's not a big dent to the ego because everybody misses on players. And in that same draft, they drafted 3 all-pro players. So you win some and you lose some. No GM bats 1,000. And on the other side of that coin is the fact that he brought in Kyle Allen. And let's be clear about Kyle Allen right here. Kyle Allen didn't win the backup job because Hendon Hooker sucks. That needs to be stated. I'm going to say that again. Kyle Allen did not win the backup quarterback job because Hendon Hooker sucks. Kyle Allen won the backup quarterback job because he won the job. And it would have taken, I don't know who could have came in and did better than he did. He had an off very first game. He threw a couple interceptions in the July 31st game. But outside of that, he has played outstanding. He's ran the offense. He's made the throws. He's got a pretty deep ball. He's got a nice deep ball. So I think Brad Holmes deserves some credit for signing Kyle Allen. And for the first time in as long as I can remember, when you had Teddy Two Gloves, you were feeling pretty good about your quarterback spot. But with Kyle Allen, I believe that Kyle Allen can run the offense. You say it all the time. It's like, well, Jared Goff is only good because the offensive line. Well, Kyle Allen's going to be protected too. And Kyle Allen proved that he can make the throws. If you have to go out there because Jared Goff gets injured, yeah. You can say it's going to dent his ego all you want, broski. It's okay. Maybe it does. Maybe it does hurt his feelings. Gosh, I would think that it would dent your ego a little bit if you missed on any player, You do your evaluations, You're trying to see what's going on. And I don't even think that I'm not even giving up on Hendon Hooker. He's just not going to be able to have a spot here. It's not that he couldn't go somewhere else and compete. But no, he didn't live up to expectations. I was wrong on Hendon Hooker. I thought that he would be better than that. I thought, he was one of the best quarterbacks in that draft. And I thought that he'd come in and play better than that. I got that wrong. Holmes, got that wrong. But maybe they keep him. Maybe they value Hooker more than I do, or more than Broski does. Maybe Brad's ego is too much, and he'll just have to hold on to him. My precious, I have to be right on every pick. Maybe his ego is just gonna take over, and he's gonna have to keep Hooker. I'm not wrong. Everything I do is great. No, I think that they do all of the moves that they do. And, he hit on the Kyle Allen one. I mean, what do you want as a backup? You want a guy that's got starter experience, a guy that can run the offense. We have playmakers all over the place. We don't need our quarterback to be, Lamar Jackson and run all over the place. That's not what we do. We got playmakers 6 or 7 deep. Get it to one of them. I don't need to make a play. Get it to Amon-Ra. I don't need to make a play. Get it to Jamison Williams. Here. Get it to Jahmyr Gibbs. Get it to David Montgomery. Get it to Sam Laporta. I don't know any quarterbacks that have athleticism like those guys. I mean, maybe Lamar Jackson, but he can't throw the ball. Like, he can't run an offense with, going through read 1, read 2, read 3. It's whatever you want. You pick your. How do you want your team to play? That's what I always got to say to mobile quarterback guy. Well, Goff isn't mobile. Well, what do you want? Do you want a guy that is going to be running all the time, or do you want a guy that can go through his progressions? One of the best things that Jared Goff said in this offseason was the things that he was working on were, most quarterbacks can do read 1, read 2. And then, then they're thinking the play is going to break down. Goff said he was really working on getting to reads 3 and read 4, and that was what he was fine-tuning. And that's it, man. You got playmakers all over the place. I don't want Goff running. I don't want an athletic quarterback like that, because they get hurt too. And then when it comes down to the really, really great defenses that put pressure on those types of quarterbacks, Josh Allen didn't win Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson doesn't win the Super Bowl. I mean, you could argue that Jalen Hurts, well, he's a mobile quarterback, but that defense stopping Mahomes is why they won that Super Bowl. Running the football. So you don't need that. You need a guy like Jared Goff or Kyle Allen if you just want the defense or the offense to run. I want a guy that can get through progressions. The Lions are in trouble week 1. We'll see about that. The Lions own the Green Bay Packers at this point. Dan Campbell. And miss me with any history before Dan Campbell. Don't tell me about the history. My history isn't good. The Lions, we went 0-16. I'm talking about right here and right now. How does that help your team with Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions? And what the hell is Green Bay done that should make the Lions scared? I mean, you could argue that Green Bay's team didn't even get better. You're just hoping that your players develop. Matthew Golden, You drafted a wide receiver in the first round when you should have drafted a cornerback. You usually draft cornerbacks when Aaron Rodgers wanted wide receivers for his whole career in the first round. I'll discredit Hurts if I want to discredit Hurts. I'm not trying to discredit Hurts. I'm not even really discrediting Hurts, honestly. But I'll discredit him if I want to. It's all good. Lions are going to put two W's up against the weak trash Bears too. Going to sweep the division again. So now I got all trolls in here. Living rent free. I love it. I love it. James Singer up in the house, man. Exactly. True Lions fans know the past. Right now, we're on top. Go Lions. We know the past. We know that we didn't have good ownership. And you should like it anyway. I don't care if you're a rival fan. If you like the Packers, that's cool. You guys got a nice rich history. Rich history. And that's awesome, man. You got Lombardis. I mean, even the Bears, you guys got a Super Bowl. What can I say? What can I say? And I'm not discrediting Jalen Hurts, by the way. I'm giving credit to their defense, which frustrated Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's something that you're not used to seeing. I mean, if you're used to watching Patrick Mahomes from all the years, you're used to him just getting out of stuff. It's just weird to see a defense put that kind of pressure on him and make somebody as great as Mahomes just look very bad. He made Mahomes look like a bad quarterback. Now, Jalen Hurts made plays. Saquon Barkley made plays in that Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that they didn't, but that defense made it very clear that Mahomes wasn't going to get anything done. The Lions are going to be better. The Lions, I'm betting on progression right here. We have a brand new coordinator. I think Kelvin Shepard isn't going to miss a beat. The defense is going to be better than last year with the progression and all of the players that we're getting back. Holy crap. It's almost like having a crazy offseason that you couldn't have. Getting a player like Aiden Hutchinson back at full strength. Jack Campbell progressing. Brian Branch progressing. Kirby Joseph next year in that defense. And DJ Reed. And is at least a lateral move from what Carlton Davis is. In the defensive line, you drafted Tyleik Williams in the first round, sitting him next to Reeder. You're going to get Aleem McNeil back in the season. Lions are stacked. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Now, the coordinator thing, we'll have to see about that. We'll see. We'll see how that works. We'll see how much of it was the offense and how much of it was Ben Johnson running the plays. Because it is amazing how plays will work when it is blocked correctly. So I would have to say the biggest cause for my concern would be the interior of the offensive line. But we got good players in those positions. I'm okay with what we got going on. I mean, you can't pay every lineman $20 million a year. So eventually you have to have young players in those positions on rookie contracts. And if Mahogany and Ratledge work out on right and left guard, you got rookie contracts for the next 3 years. You're going to be saving money on your offensive line. Now, you still got to figure out the Glasgow thing, but who knows? In his career, he's been a very good center here in Detroit. Glasgow was drafted as a center out of Michigan. So it's not, I'm not as worried about Glasgow in the middle as what some would be, but we'll see. He ain't Frank Ragnow. That's for sure. He ain't Frank Ragnow. Going through here, out for blood, but the Lion fans have Barry. Still need another elite edge rusher. We cannot expect him to do it alone. I'm going to address this because my hot take for this offseason, James, you ready for this? The second in sacks on this Detroit Lions team this year, James, is going to be Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes is going to have 10-plus sacks this year. Mark it down. The villain said it. It's 8/23/2025. August 23rd. I'm calling it. Derek Barnes will have 10-plus sacks. Double-digit sacks out of Derek Barnes. He is the pass rusher. They are going to deploy him like a jack linebacker. You're going to like that contract, guys. You're going to like that Derek Barnes contract by the end of this year. A pass rushing linebacker. And you got 2 coverage linebackers. Oh, it's going to be beautiful. The central scrutinizer saying the Packers are the Packers and they are constantly relevant year to year. And that's true. But the new Packers team with Jordan Love, who isn't as good as Aaron Rodgers or as any of the other top quarterbacks in the league, they're going to be right there at 9-8, 10-7. And they'll be like that every year that they have Jordan Love as their quarterback. I don't think that he's going to evolve into a top player at the position. He's not going to be, as good as Goff. Really, ever. He'll always be inconsistent because of his play style. And they'll live and die on the arm of Jordan Love. Right. Let's see what else we have in here. We have a lot of players who need to show up. A lot of players who can show up on the other side of Hutch. Yeah. What about Jack Campbell? James says, what about Jack Campbell? Think he'll have a better year than Barnes? I think that they're going to have different years, James. I think Jack Campbell will undoubtedly lead the team in tackles. He'll have 100-plus tackles, and he will be a force in the run game. But Derek Barnes will have more sacks than Jack Campbell just because of the way that they play, that they're going to play their positions. Jack Campbell is, the captain in the middle of that defense. Derek Barnes is they're going to deploy him like a weapon. That Sam linebacker spot. Sam. But they'll treat him like a Jack. The Jack linebacker. You get it? Jack. Maybe Jack will be the Jack. Bring back Z-Man. Hit that like button if you want him to bring back Z. Bring back Big Z. I want to see it. Let's get some support in there. Type that in the comments. Bring back Big Z if you want him to bring back Big Z. Is this Hooker's final game as a Lion? Give you a little bit of review right there, because I'm about ready to turn into a pumpkin. I've done my hour. But in review, we got bubble players who are going to be the surprises that make the team. What's going to be the criteria for them to make the team? We got about 45 players battling for the 7 to 8 spots. Got the Houston Texans today at 1 o'clock. It's going to be the Hendon Hooker show. Is this going to be his final game as a Lion? Or will the Lions figure out a way to put him on the 53-man roster? Or will they waive him? Maybe take a chance, see if they can't get him on the practice squad. Brought to you as always by Fanatics.com. Use that link in the description. Save up to 20% off your order from our affiliate marketing partners at Fanatics.com. Find us on the socials. Connect with us. Like, comment, ask questions. Share this with your buddy. If you're a fan of Detroit sports, 313 Villain Squad. Connect with us. It's faith, family, and then football. In that order. We use football. We don't let football use us. Use football to spend time with your family. Don't let football use you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you until we meet again. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you guys.